So, Elliot Page came out yesterday, and it felt like a breath of fresh air in the middle of this hell year. He came out, said he had he, they pronouns, came out as transgender, and everyone, it felt like most of Twitter was, reveling in this, very wholesome, very sweet moment.
Huge congratulations to Elliot Page on this. To come out and have such a largely positive response is really amazing, and also just being able to live as yourself is incredible.
And for the most part, it seemed like the media got it right. They didn't really dead name him that much. They used his he, him pronouns, but not so much on the they, but we take what we can get.
But I do think it is important whenever we have a large response to someone coming out as trans or otherwise queer, to take a step back and really assess where we're at, if things are getting better, how things are getting better, and how we can continue to progress.
As a non-binary person, I feel like it's important that we, sort of assess this and take a look at what the state of things is for trans people in the arts industry. So traditionally, the arts have been seen as something very liberal and something very accepting, but we know, especially with things like the Hays Code, that that's very much not always the case, and trans people are often not very accepted into the arts industry, and typically our roles are cast as villainous and or played by cis people, and it's a little bit all over the place. So what we're seeing now, at least in the public eye, is sort of a turn towards more acceptance and an apparent uplifting of voices and narratives that have been just flat out ignored and cast to the side thus far. As someone who went to music school, I kind of have a good idea of systemically where things at least start out in this industry for trans people. On the whole, there's definitely a movement towards acceptance. Again, we see that in plain sight. We see that in music schools starting to change, their tune and hold professors to a slightly higher standard in terms of acknowledging and respecting trans students' identities. However, there have been a few personal instances that I think are very indicative of the fact that this seems mostly like a cosmetic, an aesthetic acceptance rather than a holistic one. So, for example, when I went to Berklee College of Music, I was in a couple little activist groups. I don't want to get into specifics, but I will say that one thing that repeatedly came up was that we wanted better equity in the admissions process and scholarships for people of all genders, including trans people, non-binary people, etc. And we were told that, the 50-50 rule was enough, aiming to have 50% men and 50% women in the admissions process and in the hiring process. And when we were please, you guys said that you would start keeping better track of the trans students and the non-binary students that you're accepting into the school, and they said, oh yeah, they do count those things. And yet, they never ever provided a single data set to substantiate this claim. In fact, time and time again, we got data sets that said how many men and women were in the college, but never a single one regarding how many trans students were being accepted, how many non-binary students were being accepted. Non-binary students weren't ever included in the goddamn pie chart. Students who took advantage of this seemingly very good system of being able to change your name and pronouns within the school system without changing it legally so that you could be called by your actual name and your actual pronouns. Not a single trans student I knew actually got a response or a follow-up in this regard. I believe that there are a handful that I don't know who might have gotten a response from this team, but overall, no changes were actually made. Another instance that kind of indicates to me that, people are really struggling to move in the right direction, and that these systems are going to take a longer time to change, is an interaction I had with a professor. And this is a professor who I loved and loved dearly. and who I think had only the best intentions in this conversation, but it is very telling of where things stand. So I went into this professor's office hours one day for help with an assignment. It was an assignment outside of the class. We had a conversation, and at the end of the conversation, he said, "Now hold on. I've seen in your email that in the signature you say you want to use they, them pronouns." And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "So what does that mean to you? Can you explain to me what being non-binary means to you?" And I think a lot of cis people don't recognize what a loaded question that is, and B, just like how kind of inappropriate it is, especially for someone that you know, aren't necessarily friends with, don't necessarily have a substantial relationship with. It was just a little unsettling. And the thing is, it came from a very good place. He wanted to be educated. And I have no problems with that part at all. I don't take offense to him asking me that. However, the fact that there's been plenty of information out there for people to learn from, and there's been plenty of people explaining to cis people time and time again that these conversations are not really appropriate to just bring up at random to a trans person and expect this emotional labor for them. It's, you know? Overall, I think we do have some reason to celebrate. This is very cool, very good that we have made the baby steps, and at least tabloids can get name and gender right when someone comes out. And at least people who have had long storied experience in the arts industry are starting to open up, be willing to learn, wanting to know more, wanting to understand. But again, it's just that. Baby steps. Little tiny, tiny, tiny baby steps. And we still have a long way to go. So I think it's perfectly fine and good to celebrate this moment, but I also think it's important to recognize that we have a lot more educating to do, we have a lot more pushing to do, and we should continue to do so because we need the arts to be a more equitable space for people of marginalized genders, especially because we need their stories to be told in order to bring them justice as a whole. And that's why I keep doing what I'm trying to do here, and I'm trying to push really hard on doing more of that, especially this month. I feel like part of my job in all of this and continuing to push forward and continuing to do the work includes educating people on here, not just about gender issues, but also about music and about, you know, the parts of music that you maybe don't necessarily learn if you don't have the money or the connections, but don't take any money or connections to acquire. A big part of that is the mental health stuff, which I've already talked about in previous videos, and I talk about that and a lot of the more technical stuff in my live streams every Thursday through Sunday. So I would like to keep doing that. I would love to hear more of what you guys want to learn here. It would be really fantastic. There's a lot more that I could talk about here between, you know, again, with the TERF saying, "Oh, we lost a lesbian sister today." Like, come on, y'all. I tweeted about that right here. Follow my Twitter if you want to see me yell at people online.
We also need to address the fact that this was a much bigger headline than Laverne Cox being physically assaulted with her friend the other day.
There's a lot to unpack here, but overall, I think we should take the victory and we should look forward to the work that's left to be done. So yeah, that's my thoughts, that's my opinions. If you were here looking for Vlogmas content today, let me explain that real quick. So I uploaded my vlog for Vlogmas yesterday. The analytics were real weird. About half the views I got way early in the video being posted. 0 minutes of watch time and a bunch of weird comments. So I'm thinking maybe instead of doing the whole Vlogmas thing and tagging it Vlogmas and all that, that seems to attract some weird behavior from YouTube. So I'm just gonna say, let's upload daily. There's going to be some Christmas content because yes, it's the holidays. Overall though, I'm gonna say, let's not do the whole Vlogmas thing. Let's just do daily uploads so we can continue to take a little glimpse into my life and I can get used to editing more. And we'll just have little chats like this, you know, some content, some talks, some opinions. Anyway, if you want to see more of me, check out my Patreon or my Discord in the link below. Come hang out with us. We love to have new friends. And thank you so much to our patrons this month. It's our very first month. I'm very excited. I've posted some lovely stuff already. I've posted some videos and pictures for you already, so if you haven't checked that out and you are a patron, please go check. So yeah, subscribe, like, all that stuff. Okay, thank you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow. I'm gonna go play Among Us in the Discord. Okay, thank you, love you, bye.